wasn't about wanting to be a superstar or wanting to play on the big stages and wanting to play with artists that are, recognised and well known.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I am grateful that I've worked with some amazing people. Yeah. That sometimes I kind of question, why do they call me? I'm just this kid from Bradford.
Yeah.
I started to believe in myself. That was the first thing. And I started to accept that genuine people who did care about me were being honest about what gift God had given me to play my instrument. And that's what's helped me to come through that.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean? Without that, I couldn't have done it on my own. I've been blessed to have some amazing people around me, both family and friends, that saw something in me and said, no man, you've got a light there, man, shine it. The stage of where I am now in my life with music and with my journey is that I feel I want to pass that on to the young kids. I want them to realise that they're blessed. What they have inside is more powerful than anything that they can visualise in that remit or in that world, or what people say how they have to live and how they have to conduct themselves and what they have to wear, how they have to look. They can choose that from within.
So today we welcome you back onto another episode of the 108 Floor podcast. Today we have Earl Dawkins on.
That's it.
A music producer, a musician, and now teacher, and many hats really.
Well, yeah.
And you're here to share the journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. Yeah, very much so. How far back do we go?
Where did your first love for music come from?
It started when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. And I remember my mum used to play the piano.
Oh, cool.
And we had like an old piano in our house. So she used to always be playing like church hymns and stuff from a book because she could read music. And one day she says, oh, come and sit and watch what I'm doing. So I sat outside of her and she started showing me some stuff, and then I started basically copying what she was doing.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, I want you to try and see if you can play this. These are the notes here. So I started playing it. But what she didn't realise at the time was that I was actually copying what she was doing rather than reading the notes because I just didn't get it. It just seemed a bit too, weird to me. So she says, all right then, I'm going to put this other song on. It's got the same notes in it, but in a different order. And then that's when she found out that really I was cheating. I was playing what they call by ear.
Yeah.
So just basically what I'm hearing, I'm just mimicking it, you know what I mean? And she said, well, it looks like that's the way you're going to be doing it, so just continue that way. So I got the green light from her, which was great, you know what I mean? And I just started really homing in on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine one day just says, oh, let me just show you some chords. And he showed me some chords. And then I was very fortunate that my godmother had got me an acoustic guitar for my birthday when I was about 11.
Oh, nice.
And I just started playing that every night when I got home from school. I just was infatuated by it. When all my mates were going out playing outside, are you going to come and play on your skateboard? Nah, it's all right. I'm going to play on my guitar. And that was it. I was hooked ever since from that point.
I admire that though. I've tried.
Yeah, have you?
I tried it the last few years. I wasn't great at it.
It's just one of them things. I just think it's either it's something that you just feel in here.
Yeah.
And you just naturally just want to do it. And I just knew then that's the instrument I want to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, when did you start knowing that this were going to be like a career?
Wow, well, that was, even when I started playing right up until my late teens, 17, 18, I first started playing with local friends of mine who was at church, because my father was a minister.
Oh, cool.
So the church that I went to, my friends, they were very much into music like me, so we used to just jam on that on a Saturday night when we used to go to each other's houses. And one day, a mate of mine at school says, I've got a drum kit. So I says, oh, well, one of my friends from church, he's really into drums, but he's never played one before, because he used to play on cardboard boxes when I used to go to his house. We used to just jam.
Cool.
And we had like a scouts hut, which was very local to where we all lived. So one Wednesday night we went there, and my friend from school brought his drum kit. And then my friend, he's called Ronald King, just started playing the drums. He'd never been on a kit before, ever. And he just started playing. What he was playing on the boxes, you know what I mean? The cardboard boxes at home, he played the same rhythm. And I just went, you can play? How did you learn that? He just went, I don't know.
Like a duck to water.
And that was it. And then we actually ended up forming a band at church called Freedom.
Yeah.
And then we used to kind of go and play at local events. And we used to have these things called programs where they used to have an event where people used to go and sing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we used to just play and back them.
Oh, cool.
And then one day we ended up doing our own songs and stuff as a band. And we started going around and playing at all these different churches and concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
I was probably about 14 then. And I just thought, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, it looks like a magical time.
It was. I was just in dreamland with music.
Do you think there's still a lot of that about then, that kind of atmosphere? Or do you think we've lost that a bit?
Do you know what? What I found really interesting, and this has really been recently, probably over the last year or so since I've gone back to teaching, is that the young kids are under the age of 15. They're the ones that's feeling that I got. They could relate, because I talked to them about it. Why do you want to do music? Oh yeah, I really like it, and I like these beats and so on. But the excitement within the conversation is what I'm noticing, and it's the same kind of feeling that I had when I first started. So I think we're going to have a resurgence of it, and I think it's going to be the young kids who are kind of like under the age of 14, 15. They're the ones that's going to bring that natural kind of excitement then, of a better word,
because it's like
with music,
soul music, when it actually meant so. Like I've started my colleague who I work with, and I noticed him because once I'd had like this awakening. It was the first time I'd really listened to music and the lyrics, and I was pointing it out to him, and he went, everything has a message. Within it, the soul music. It's like, I can do it, you can do it. Like if you put your mind to it, I forgot what song it's called, but it is, and it's like, if you try it again. And you listen to Drab now, and it's just repeated.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly.
And you're like, there's a message within it, and it seems to be held back. There's a lot. Hopefully it is coming back.
Yeah. I think the turning point with the young kids is that they don't look at what we call superstars, like my generation, where there was a divide, where if you were a pop star, you were up here, and if you're just a local musician who plays within your own kind of city and play at your local pubs, then you're just kind of like just an average musician. I think that divide's changing, and I think the young kids are kind of looking at that whole world as, really, we don't get excited about who's a superstar, because I listen to someone who's from some estate down London who's doing some trap music, and I like what he's doing because it's real.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I can relate to that more than someone who's got all the best clothes.
All accolades as well.
And I think that's really where the turning point's starting to happen.
Well, that's what I think. That's what we look for in everything. We want everything to be relatable, and that's where you feel it the most.
Absolutely.
I think I've had it when I was doing podcasts, because I listened to the Know Thyself, and I was like, I'm not as great with my words. But then I don't need comparing yourself to anyone is bad anyway. And I'm from a working class, so I can relate to people
like
on
myself.
another. Yeah, so I'm in an area where exactly where I need to be.
Yeah, I get that.
So
I can relate to that. And I think for me, what's really been the journey is being the love and the passion of being able to do something that makes me feel better. And I think, and I can't speak for everyone, but I know for me, music has been a very therapeutic thing, because what it's enabled me to do is, when times have been hard or when I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, if I pick that guitar up and play it, for some reason, all my troubles goes away.
You like channel it out.
Absolutely. And I feel that that has been really the crux of it, really, for me. It wasn't about wanting to be a superstar or wanting to play on the big stages, and wanting to play with artists that are, recognised and well known.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I am grateful that I've worked with some amazing people that, sometimes I kind of question, why do they call me? I'm just this kid from Bradford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who doesn't really...
because you were doing it for there, weren't you?
And I think that's really the thing that's kept me going with music. It was definitely a therapeutic, soul-searching journey. And I think maybe because there was a lot of things that I had to question as a young kid growing up with my upbringing.
Yeah.
And, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adored and loved my parents. They were amazing people.
Yeah.
But they only knew what they knew from their journey, coming from Jamaica and, bringing up 3 kids in England, knowing that the culture was different.
Yeah.
And their fears about certain things. I'll give you one example. The first time I ever did a gig outside of playing within the remit of religion and church was I did a gig at Queen's Hall in Bradford, and a friend of mine has said to me, I'd love you to come and play. I met him in a local music shop in Bradford, and he said, I'd love you to come and play. So I says, what time's the gig? He says, you need to be there about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I thought, well, how am I going to sneak out of the house to go and do this gig? Because my parents won't accept me doing it.
Yeah.
If I said to them, Mum and Dad, I want to go and do it, they wouldn't accept it, because they saw music outside of gospel music or church music as being evil.
Yeah, forbidden.
And I can understand why they felt that, because of the messages within the lyrics and the connotations within music and what it brings to certain people. But I had to do it. So what I ended up doing was, before my mum and dad came home from work, I hid my guitar underneath the cellar steps and put loads of grass and everything over it so they could see it when they walked in. When they went to bed, I actually literally sneaked out my bedroom window and used blankets to make a rope to climb down so that I could sneak out and do this gig. Cool. So I went and did the gig, came back home about 1:30, 1:45, and then my dad met me at the door as if to say, what you doing? And my mum said, leave it, we'll talk to him. Yeah. You know what I mean, in the morning, kind of thing. But that's how much I wanted. I was prepared to take whatever it was.
You got to go against the grain on some stuff, haven't you?
That's right.
And
that's what it was.
I bet you're glad you did.
Absolutely.
How long did it take to win them over then?
I think my mum was the one that kind of ended up seeing, oh no, I think he's got a talent here and it's something that he's passionate about, we should encourage him. I'd say probably when I was about 17, 18.
Yeah.
So that'll have been about 3 years after I'd done that gig when I sneaked out. That's when my mum kind of thought, it's something what he loves and maybe it could be something that he could do more seriously. But at the same time, they wanted me to get a 9-to-5 job and be responsible. And at 18, I was becoming a parent as well.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big change for me in my life. So I ended up working for Bradford Social Services for about 10 years.
Wow.
Working as a family social worker with child protection.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then on the side, I'd do bits of music and play with local friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Gigs on a Saturday night or something like that.
Yeah.
And then leading up to going into my early 30s, that's when I made the decision. I thought, I've got to do music.
Yeah.
And I ended up giving up that job. And I went down to London, stayed with some friends, and then went to a rehearsal with a saxophone player who had a band called the Jazz Warriors. It was called Courtney Pine.
Oh, cool.
And I sat and just watched them play and rehearse and everything. And then after the rehearsal, I had my guitar with me. So I says, "Oh, plug in and have a bit of a jam." So I had a bit of a jam with them. And then that night they were doing a gig. And I ended up going to the gig and then jamming with them and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I bet you built some good relationships then along the way.
Absolutely. And then that's how I kind of got into the whole world of being a session musician, because your name gets passed about. And then I ended up working with this keyboard player from America called Lonnie Liston Smith. And that was kind of the first major tour that I'd ever done. Yeah. I did about 17, 18 dates with him.
Did you?
In England and Europe, and that was massive because I used to listen to his records.
Yeah, so like
that was the thing, you know, and that was a dream for me.
Yeah,
to play with him because I loved his music.
Yeah,
and I couldn't believe it when it happened.
You just keep on pinching yourself.
It was one of them, and it was absolutely amazing. So I started working with them, did the tour, came back, and then I ended up meeting up with. As I mentioned, it was very local to here, Lee Kenner. He had a band that I'd put together called Bedlam A Go-Go, which was a kind of cross between kind of like punk meets... it was quite hard to describe the sound. It was very fresh at the time.
Quite unique.
Yeah. And Lee's just a great artist, a great singer, great writer. And I was very fortunate to play with him and the rest of the band at the time. And then he ended up reforming a band called LSK, which was called Lee Stephen Kenny, but it was under the name LSK, and we ended up doing some gigs and stuff.
Oh, cool.
And that really went well. I did an album. And that was my first time actually kind of working in... a situation where when you're actually working on an album, there's a process. Yeah. I wasn't aware of it prior to that. Going in the studio and working on songs and then working on guitar parts and stuff like that.
How does that process then go? Is it you just jam and then you find some lyrics to go with it, or is it?
It varies because sometimes the producer, who, you know, in some cases could be the singer and they could have an external producer as well that'll come in and kind of give some advice on the sound. Yeah. Would probably say, "Oh, Chris, I've got an idea here. Can you hear this riff?" kind of thing, and they'll sing it to you. Yeah. And I'll just jam around with it and play around with it. Go, yeah, try that. Yeah. And then they'll put the track on, and then I'll just play and go, "Yep, that's the one."
It must be so cool.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I just love the freedom of being able to express what you're feeling and put that on a record and it works.
Do you also, when you're going through different emotions, like say if you're going through a bit of an hard time in life, do you feel like that also comes out within the...
Absolutely.
In the music?
Many a times.
And they're like, "No, can you cut that back?"
Yeah,
can you go away and have a bit of a nice day and come back with some happy...
and all that coming out. Oh, yeah. That's happened many a time. Yeah. Many a times. You want to do the Hendrix thing with the guitar and trash it. But no. I mean, people who know me know that I'm not like that. I'm usually much more chilled out. But, it has to come out. If you're playing, you know... true to yourself and you're playing honestly from your heart, your emotions will come out. Yeah. In whatever way that comes out, you'll express it musically. And I think for me, a lot of times when I was going through times where times were hard or I was struggling emotionally or I was, you know, going through a breakup in a relationship or whatever, I always found that rather than sometimes playing, I'd want to listen.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I just go
through,
just go through some records and just listen to stuff and that's the one, man. And I'd just what I call rinse. I'd rinse that record out. I'd probably play it 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Consecutively.
Now I've done it.
So you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's almost like, why am I doing that? But there's a reason, because it's doing something in here. Yeah. It's healing the soul in some way. Do you know what I mean?
It's when you hear that certain song or there's certain parts of certain lyrics and it'll just the goosebumps. And
exactly.
I try to explain that to my friends, like when I've hit meditation, and it'll do the same thing. Yeah. It'll just it lifts you.
It lifts you.
And it's but you just like brush over it all the time until I've started to get more in touch with stuff. You're like, that's just the soul knowing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The soul knows when you need to discharge something out of your system. It knows. And for me, I've got a channel which, you know, is my music, that I can do it through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think the other side of it is, and you know, this is really important to me as part of my journey, because when I first started out, I was very, very, very in tune with my spirituality as a young teenager. I used to go to church regularly. Yeah. It was a big part of my life. And I went through a path where I suppose a detour, trying to find myself, went through a lot of different kind of stages in my life where, you know, like you do, you're not quite sure who you are.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, but you're like, I did the same way. I just lost my way. I'd got to a point where I was doing the same things and it won't work, and I was feeling more of a disconnect, but still have the awareness that it wasn't fitting anymore.
Exactly.
But I was still doing it.
It becomes a routinal thing, innit? It's almost like you feel like you have to do it because you've always done it.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, actually, sometimes you need to look at channeling that energy in a way that change is actually sometimes a good thing.
I think
not a bad thing.
Yeah, it is.
I had to learn that.
Yeah, and it's an hard process because it's
hard.
The unknown. And when you start going on this self-development of change, you're looking around and like you can't see the end point. You don't know where you're gonna end up.
No, so you don't.
Like, you're clinging on to old, but that's making you miserable as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me that was a massive lesson that I had to learn, especially at, you know, having my children, because I've got 4 amazing daughters. You know, I love them to bits, and I've got 4 grandkids as well.
Oh, lovely!
So I'm blessed right round.
Oh, cool.
And you know, my whole family have always supported me and backed me and always believed in me.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a massive part of me continuing on the road of doing what I love, which is my music, because of them, you know, saying, Dad, we know that this is what you love, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that for me meant so much, because I went through a stage of almost feeling guilty of being away, especially touring, and not spending much time with them, and that was like hard.
A heavy load.
That was really, really hard. You know what I mean? Especially when I went to LA, when I worked over there, I was there for nearly 3 months.
Wow. Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
And that was killing me. You know what I mean? That was really, really killing me, because I'm thinking, I'm doing this because, I'm wanting to feed my family.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to be around them. I want to be able to nurture them. I want to be able to have fun times with them and all that. But I had to be away to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Caught in like a double bind, aren't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so... I was watching a thing with it's just saying men just want to be respected within that order. And that's where the families over recent years have been going on the decline. And it's not been held up, and it's
I agree.
All this... like a solo effort of stardom in whatever field we're all doing. It's like, and it's never
not
sit right with me.
Not feeling it.
Especially with when you've got your family.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. They're the superstars.
Yeah, of course they are.
The ones that show you love, they're the superstars. And that's why, for me, you know, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing artists out there. And, you know, I think... You know, some of them have got the right messages that they're putting out there, because I've heard it and I can relate to it.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a massive turning point happening where Joe Bloggs down the road is really not that interested in, okay, then, you've sold X amount of records and, you know, you've done this and done. That doesn't interest them. It's about the music and how they can feel it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think... the superstars are the ones that are sat in the little cubbyhole playing the little guitars and writing the songs and expressing their emotions. To me, they're the ones that are really the stars.
Yeah. Well, we went to a Newton and Faulkner gig not long back, and you just feel energy in the room of what he's getting across.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great artist.
And he's even funny as he's going through it. And I'm like, And he's like, you can tell. He says, I always get told after a gig that my fans are nicest people, and they're like, people gravitate and magnetise towards that kind of
absolutely.
You know what you're getting with it, don't you?
You know what you're getting with
and
it.
You can feel the wholeness within.
There's no pretenses or someone saying I'm better than you and all that. Them days are over.
Yeah.
Them days are gone. These kids, that's what I was saying to you when we spoke earlier.
Yeah.
These 15-year-old kids can see through all that crack.
Yeah.
They're not interested.
It's just shiny, isn't it? And it's like
they're not interested.
Dream.
It's almost like, don't sell me that because I've seen, I can see it, but it doesn't do anything for it. It doesn't excite me.
Well, you look at it from an outlook in, if that were the pinnacle of it all, why are they all getting divorces and not unhappy and chasing all this? Because if you're chasing money and numbers, it's infinite.
It's infinite.
And it's your family.
Yeah.
Give you much more joy.
Absolutely.
I mean, they give you an hard time. And they can trigger you to death. But
it's priceless.
That's where the wholesome is.
You're right. It is priceless with your family. When you know that love's there and you can feel it. When everything's gone, who are you going to turn to? Yeah. That's what you got to look at. Who are you going to turn to? So this whole thing about, people feeling that, they're on this scale up. To me, I think it's more about we should be looking at the inner journey, what's going on inside.
Yeah.
Because once you can sort out what's going on inside, it projects itself to your physical world. I really believe that, and that's something I've learned.
Yeah. It's the more, a lot of people can't sit with themselves, and I'm like, if you can't sit with yourself, you're avoiding yourself as well.
You're running away.
Yeah, and there's a lot of busy idiots out there. I was one of them. Like, everything external.
Me included.
Running about like an idiot.
Me included.
And until you can sit with yourself and sit with your own thoughts and go, oh yeah, that. And there's so much stuff that comes up in the meditation
That's right.
You weren't even aware of,
exactly.
And it comes up and you're like, there's that to deal with.
Yeah.
And you'll go and heal it through whatever way is necessary.
Exactly. People don't realise how much power they have within. And I had to do that because I was running around like some idiot thinking that everything was out there.
Yeah.
And then when hang on. No, man, it's inside.
Yeah.
I need to sort out what's going on in here, in my heart.
Yeah.
And once I can sort that out, everything else outside is just going to come into play the way that I visualise it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned.
It's cool. Have you wrote any songs then?
Yeah, I've brought out an album called Hero's Journey.
All right.
With a label called Released Records.
Oh, cool.
Tony Green.
I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, and I've done some other albums and stuff like that.
What's your process in writing?
Gosh, writing's really weird with me. I mean,
sometimes when you feel the need.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll be just sat at home and I'll be doing something completely different and cooking food or whatever, and then randomly I'll just have a hook that'll come in my head lyrically.
Yeah.
And I have to run and get my notebook, write it down, and while the food's cooking, I end up writing a whole song. And I tend to write songs, especially songs lyrically, without the instrument in my hand.
That's man.
I can hear the music in my head.
Yeah.
And I can hear where everything can go, oh yeah, I can hear the bass line, yeah, what kind of beat I want on it. And it's all made up in my head. So by the time I'm ready to make it, I've already got it.
That's cool, isn't it?
So a lot of times I make music like that.
Cool. Let me just shut this down.
Yeah.
I'll keep on continuing. So with that being said as well, do you think that you're receiving it as well?
Yes.
Because that's what I was listening to. It was like a funny clip of Michael Jackson and Prince saying that he'd wake up at 3 o'clock. And he'd wake up before Michael Jackson because he knew that he'd get the song, or vice versa. And I'm like,
divine source, man.
The more that I've got tapped into it, and I do meditations, like sometimes I'll get up at 3 o'clock or 5. There's stuff that comes through and the energy, because they say within the dark, in the veil's so thin.
That's right. That's right.
Everyone's asleep and they're in dream
Absolutely.
state. It's when
you're in that drowsy state, when you can start to make what I call the busy mind, the conscious mind, that's chitty-chatty, telling you that you're not good at this and you're not good at that, and you're crap at this and you're crap at that. When that quietens down, and you're in that drowsy state, that's when the subconscious comes to work, because everything's going in there.
Yeah. Well, it's theta, they say theta state, and that's what kids are in. It's like, it's
that's
playtime.
Right. That's right. Why do you think kids can visualize things when they're 1 and 2 years old, like they're in some dream world, and they get the broomstick and they start riding like they're riding a horse? To them, they're on a horse.
Yeah. There's only us that tells them they ain't.
and we knock it out of them. So by the time they're 6, 7 years old, they don't even know what about dreaming's about anymore.
I know.
Because we say it's not good for them to do it. Leave them to do it. It's a God-given gift that we've got, that we can go into that space where everything's there. It's all there. All the answers are there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, that's what I've really, really grown to realise about myself.
Yeah.
That the things that I doubted and the things that I struggled for many years with when people gave me a compliment about me playing. I always thought they're just saying it just because they're trying to be nice and that.
Yeah.
And I never believed them, because I always thought in my head that I'm not as good as I'd like to be. And I struggled with that for many years.
Yeah.
Until when I started to look at myself and think, what's causing me to feel like this? And I had to look back on things that had gone on in my past. And I think this is really relevant, because it all ties in to whatever goal. It could be music, it could be any other career that people choose in life. But when I was 16 and I got my first Saturday job in Bradford, it was at a retail store that used to sell jeans and suits and stuff, men's clothes. And I remember walking in on that Saturday morning, I was buzzing because I got my first Saturday job, I'm going to get paid and all this kind of stuff. And the boss of the shop says, okay, then I'd like you just to clean the windows and that. We don't normally do that on every Saturday morning before customers come in. I say, yeah, cool. So I says, where's the stuff that I need to clean it with? He says, oh no, you don't need anything. You got big black lips. Why don't you just clean it with them? And I remember that 1978. For the first time in my life, my heart sunk, and I didn't know why I felt like that. It was a weird feeling, because it wasn't something where we talked about racism and it was a real big thing in our family, because my parents were loving parents, so we never really talked like that. No. So for me, as a 16-year-old kid who'd never really been out there, being protected and cocooned by my family that loved me, to hear that, I didn't know what to say. Yeah, I bet you did. But I remember, like tears nearly coming down my eyes, and I didn't know why I wanted to cry, and I thought, I don't want him to see me being emotional about it. Yeah. So I just kind of laughed it off.
Yeah, pushed that emotion down, yeah.
But I think that had a very, very negative effect on how I dealt with things proceeding after that, because I thought to be accepted, I've got to kind of like don't cause any ruffles. Don't challenge anything.
Don't shine better than you should, yeah.
And that wasn't a good thing, because I kept it inside rather than expressing it to my family and expressing what had happened. I just kept it inside for years.
Yeah.
But I always had that feeling. And really, I've kind of, over the years, had to deal with that in so many different ways, where I've had to kind of like build my confidence up and think, actually, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about all that crap that was said then. Yeah. Because that's not me.
No.
That was his issue, not mine.
Him just projecting, about his insecurities.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's, the more that's when we get the energy in his body and we tie ourselves down. It's like carrying a kettlebell around with you.
Absolutely.
Not knowing that you're carrying it around. And then we're acting out different programs.
But that baggage is still there. Yeah. That weight's still there, and you don't even realise it's still there.
Because at that moment in time, you wasn't emotionally intelligent to deal with it. So your mind just goes, shut it down, send it down, and we'll deal with that later. Yeah. But it
pops its rear head up all the time. When that emotion triggers, it popped its head up many a times in my life, because I'd not dealt with it. And I suppose in some ways that's why I just really became more emotional with playing my instrument and expressing myself through that, because for some reason it diffused the pain.
Yeah.
Because I had joy. Yeah. When I played that thing, I thought I was in heaven.
Quality.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just gave me that uplifting feeling that, this is Eureka moment. No one can get me now. Yeah. I'm safe now. Do you know what I mean?
I listened to a podcast the other day and what he said about the woman at Auschwitz and said she'd had her parents murdered by Nazis.
Wow.
And then they got her to dance because she was a good dancer at a ball. Yeah. They got her to dance and she danced like out of her skin, and then all like people who lived there went, how do you manage to do that? How did you manage to dance for them people on the same day? She went, I wasn't there. She went, I was in the ball of thingy. I just I took myself. I wasn't doing it for them. But I had to. Yeah. And like you're saying, I get that. The child state, they can be on a broom, and we have that. When they say we're multi-dimensional beings, we can take ourselves wherever we want to.
Absolutely.
It's just tapping into that vision, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think, for me, looking at, the stage of where I am now in my life with music, and with my journey, is that I feel I want to pass that on to the young kids. I want them to realise that they're blessed. Yeah. That irrelevant of what they see through the media and through all the social media stuff, what they have inside is more powerful than anything that they can visualise in that remit or in that world, or what people say how they have to live and how they have to conduct themselves and what they have to wear, how they have to look. They can choose that from within. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's more like division on anything. Yeah. It's just to try and divide it. Like now you've even got people who are trying to express themselves and probably are going to be great artists, or they've got autism, or they're on the worst one is they're on spectrum.
Yeah,
just
I've
put
heard that one
someone
so
in,
many times.
It means people are being different. That's what we're supposed to be. We are same, right? We've got equal rights, but we are supposed to be different. We're supposed to be unique. But it's about dissolving that and going, no, I want you all like a communist state. It's
absolutely.
We're supposed to learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's really interesting because we're teaching and some of the young people that I work with, they have got issues. Yeah, they do sometimes get angry. They do sometimes find it difficult to focus because they've got issues that's going on at home, and I can understand for some teachers they find that quite frustrating because they can't get them to target and work within a remit that's comfortable to them. Yeah. Do as you're told, sit down and do your work. Whereas for me, I think sometimes it's a case of going down to their level and almost like showing them some respect. And say, it's not about I understand what you're going through, because that's almost like some cheesy way of almost like it's not being real. No. But almost like you've got a reason to be angry.
Yeah. It's compassion. And it's like finding...
That's really important to me.
Making it sure that it's a safe space for them to be able to talk to you.
That's the word. They feel safe.
Yeah, because if they're not, and if you're just shouting, anger meets anger.
Yeah.
You're not going to get better out of it. And then they're going to close up even more. And this is when you end up with people falling into drugs, alcohol, or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Because they don't feel like they've got anywhere. It might be the only place they have to talk to you.
Do you know what I mean?
It might be that bad at home.
Exactly.
And I think you've got to look at it like that all the time. We used to work on building sites and they'd be like, he's a right arsehole.
Oh, whatever.
And I went, have you just took a step back? And I went, since we've started this job, he's like... He'll go sit by himself. He'll make a coffee and he'll go sit.
And he'll just chill by himself. Yeah, give him that space
and not talk. And as it got into it for next week on job, they went, "Oh, he's going through a divorce." And I went, I could just tell.
See, that's something going on.
Out of kink, and just relax.
That's it.
And
that's it. You've just said
don't
it there.
Take stuff personal.
That's right. And I think for me, and especially with music, I found that when I work with them and I can see the joy in their face when they've done something, and it's almost like, I can't believe I've done that. I say, yes, you've done that. I told you you're good at it.
Yeah.
That gives them such a boost and such a feeling that, to me, that'll transcend for when they get older in life.
Yeah.
It'll have a knock-on effect. It has to.
Well, you're planting a seed within them to then do it to someone else. It's like, give that... Yes, fair enough if they're crap at something, just but
straight out.
As soon as they're actually getting ahead with it, and you're encouraging it.
Absolutely.
And then that feeling is the thing, the emotion that's going to drive them to want to do more in it.
Because you've got to remember, the whole thing first starts from imagination.
Yeah.
It's that kid having a vision, hearing that thing in their head and thinking, when I go on that tool, be it a computer, whatever, that they're going to make that beat on, they want to do something what they're hearing in their head, and they want it to sound good.
Yeah.
And if you can encourage that and support that and let them know that you're on the side and you're giving them the thumbs up, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Rather than this, he's always he's always messing about, he never comes in class, he's always running about. You know what I mean? I look at it the complete other way. I give them positive vibes.
Yeah. You've got to look at it from different angles, haven't you? But some people have just got blinkers on, and it is hard. It can be difficult. It can be. It's how you view it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you were saying with the writing process, sometimes it's while you're cooking.
Yeah, man, just cooking a little food.
You love cooking as well, don't you?
And then all of a sudden I just think, this lyric come in my mind. Oh, I like that. That'd be a really nice hook. Run and get my pen, write it down. And then I'm sat there on kitchen table writing. Oh, I've got my first verse.
Cool.
And that, a lot of it comes like that.
Amazing.
I love that feeling.
I was saying to Zoe, and I've said to a couple of people over the years, I'd love to write a song. In my lifetime, I want to write a song. And pass it to someone to play it. I'm like, I've got no interest in playing it. I'd love to.
Yeah, but you'd just love to hear.
But I'd love to be able to go to a concert, even if it's a little one, and just be in there, and see people, absolutely in the moment with the lyrics, and that'd be enough for me.
Yeah, because the thing is, and this is the other part of it. There are no rules about careers, age, whatever. You choose what feels right in your heart to do at the time when it feels right to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm a massive believer in that, because I think we've been sold this dream that, if you're not a footballer by the time you're 35, you might as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't do music you're too old to do it now, don't bother with it. Who's made the rules? There's no rules.
I think they're dissolving.
That's man-made, There's no rules. Not interested in that.
I think it's
It's when it feels right.
If you can step into like being childlike, like I can see you lighting up when you're on about kids playing music, or you are you're taking yourself back to that nostalgic point, and you're like, that's wherever you feel that you're driven to go, and where you're going to feel the most joy is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely spot on what you said there, Craig.
That's the magic, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, it is. I mean, like the other day, my grandson phoned me up. He's 13, nearly 14. Yeah. And he says, Grandad, I've got this tune, because he's been working on some bits and bats, you know what I mean? I've got this tune, and sometimes what we do is, he'll start something off, and then he'll give me the bits, and then I'll try and do a mix for him.
Quality.
You know what I mean? And it's just the excitement in his voice when I know he's done something and he's really happy about it, and I think, man, we're going to mash this up. Cool. Just send it over to me, and I'll finish it off.
That must be brilliant.
That, to me, that is what my joy is.
Yeah.
That's why I do music.
It's just be able to share that time together as well, and get creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's been the highlight of your career so far?
Ooh, highlight of my career. Well, I've been fortunate, as I said earlier, to have worked with some amazing people. Corinne Bailey Rae, fantastic singer, love her voice, and I've done some sessions with her. Finley Quaye, I don't know if you've ever come across that name. Yeah, I've worked with him over the years, off and on. And I was very, very fortunate, as I mentioned, to work in LA for 3 months with David Holmes. He's the DJ and a producer.
Yeah.
We worked on the film Ocean 11.
Oh, quality.
Yeah, so I did all the guitars on that.
That's quite an accolade, isn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. Just the opportunity just to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to work with some great musicians as well who I met there, because there were about 7 of us as musicians that worked together. So I did that with him, and I also did another film with him called Buffalo Soldiers with Wakan Phoenix in it.
All right.
Yeah, I think that came out 2001 or 2002.
Brilliant.
So I did some bass guitar and some guitars on that as well. So they're big highlights for me, just having that opportunity to do that. But at the same time, just working with some amazing musicians who you know, I can call my friends.
Yeah.
Like Nightmares on Wax. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah,
with
I
George.
was searching them up last night.
Yeah. I mean, George is just George. You know what I mean? Amazing artist, producer, DJ. And I've been fortunate over the years to have worked with him since 1995 when I first started with him.
Oh, that's quality.
We did a gig last year actually in Leeds, which was great, like a reunion thing for one of the albums that we did, Car Boot Soul.
Yeah.
So it was the original kind of band came together, and
I had a look through last night because he's having a year out as well, isn't he?
Yeah. He's been working solid, man. He's just amazing. So yeah, working with George and like with all my local friends, they all know they are amazing. But I think for me, the highlight at the moment is me getting involved in writing with other people.
Yeah.
And for many years, I've always wanted to do more producing, working with singers and doing production and making the music around the voice and things. So I've got some projects at the moment. So 2025 is here. You're going to be in some fresh, fresh vibes coming out.
And
I'm going to be involved in producing.
To be all around it as well, aren't you? So you've got the experience to go off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It must be a great gift.
Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? Also, I've done sessions with another group called Lost in Music, which is more covers.
Yeah.
But playing all the theatres up and down the country,
cool.
and that's been really good experience as well. Just kind of doing the set, because I'm playing the songs that I love, like Chic, Earth, Wind and Fire, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. It's too many to mention, man. You know, but I try and keep my hand in there. Yeah.
And you're teaching now as well. So.
I am. Yes, I decided September of last year to go back to teaching. Yeah. I just felt because I've been doing it quite heavy touring really since 2017. Obviously we had the pandemic which stopped us for a year, but within that time from 2017 up until last year I'd been on the road, and I just thought, you know what, I want to spend time with my family because these times are precious now, you know, and my grandkids are going to get big and they don't want to be spending any time with their granddad anymore. You know what I mean? They're going to want their own lives. So I just thought, I'm going to make a decision now and cool off on the touring. And so I do odd gigs here and there.
Just try to keep it.
But I keep it at a minimum now. Yeah, and do more production stuff that I can do at home. So I've got a little music set up and that. You know what I mean?
Sense,
so I can do a bit of production.
Does make sense.
Yeah.
So you were saying with your spiritual awakening as well.
Yeah.
So I know you say that you're obviously with church
Christian.
And that's come through. So where do you think that it's come up more recently, or is it recently, or is it?
Well, I'd say probably over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
I have been looking at my life, looking at my journey, looking at, you know, the fact that I feel that there's a higher power that governs everything.
Yeah.
And doing an inner search really about, you know, why when I call on the Almighty, He comes and rescues me.
Yeah.
So that I know that there's something deeper than just what the eyes can see.
Yeah.
And what we can feel and touch, and with all our senses that we have. There's in my experience over the last year, I've found that I've had a real inner search that has really drawn me closer to the higher power.
Yeah. And is that something that you asked for then in prayer, or?
Yeah, it was something that I was searching for because I felt like I was a bit lost.
Yeah.
And I just felt that, you know, you question what is life all about from when I was a kid growing up to the age I am now, which is a senior. What have I actually achieved? You know, you start to question things. And I think for me, I had to look at the only reason why I'm still here is because the higher power's looking after me.
Yeah. What would you use that as a barometer then to what you feel you should be achieving in your eyes?
I think what I should be achieving in my eyes is being able to pass the love on. Because to me, that's what I've realised, that so many people are living a life of hurt and pain, struggle, competition, trying to keep up with the Mr. and Mrs. Joneses because they've been fed that dream, including myself. And when I really weighed everything up, I thought, hang on, I'm probably one of the richest, wealthiest man on this planet because look at my kids and my grandkids. That's when I started to realise the light went on.
The things that can't be taken away.
Yeah.
And I think it's as well, and it's going to go to the question about music and how powerful it is and how it can bring changes. I think you've been doing it all along unknowingly. It's how it makes you feel, but also it's your gift to give to other people.
Yes.
Because how you make people feel
I want to pass it on.
Is what changes the world.
Absolutely.
I think that's the power of music.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why I think there's a big attack on just putting the same chorus out with let's get drunk every week. The same message. Once you start siphoning the message and the top whatever's in the top 10 now, the message, if you looked for the message, there'd be nothing good about family or what soul music were doing and hip hop and the rest of it. But you feel that's coming back now?
I feel it's coming back because I've homed in on artists that I feel was trying to send that message through the music. You know, like people like Nick Drake.
Yeah.
You know, great songwriters who was trying to express, you know, that really what we have is within and we have to promote that and don't go for the shininess that you see out there, the glam and, you know, the nice big houses and all that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying for people not to strive for better things in their life.
You're just
I'm not saying
don't
that.
let it be the
but don't let that be, exactly. You know what I mean? Don't let that be your thirst. That once you've done that, that's it. Because it's not about that. You know, wealth or whatever you want to look at is something that goes through you. You don't try and hone it like this. You know what I mean? And say, look at what I've got and look at this and that. You're below me. And to me, it's not about that because we're all the same.
Yeah.
And we're all interconnected, whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? We're all souls. We're all interconnected in the universe. So whatever energy you put out there, other people are going to feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to feel it. And for me, that's what's really kind of brought me closer to my spirituality and questioning that I need to target my life to the higher power.
Yeah. I think that's what we're all striving for. Once you've tapped into it and you see the synchronicities that will happen within. Like the other week, I was doing a bowel cleanse and I was asking for strength. And I thought I was just asking for strength for that. And I was giving things that were testing me out like that. And I'm like, it's because it's seeing if the loads heavy, but you wouldn't be giving it if you can't take
you wouldn't be giving it if you... Exactly.
And I think it is fascinating how that higher power knows exactly where to put you. And it's all there. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are completely, they're just atheists and like, you know, and I'm like, just try for 1 week, whatever problems you've got going in your life, go with an intention and just tell me how it
worked, how it turned out.
It's not. I say you'll try loads of beers at bar and that costs money. You know what you're getting. This is free.
Yeah, I mean, there was something that I put here and I thought, going back to what you said, it's like wherever energy goes, attention, energy flows.
Yeah.
So if you're in that negative vibe, you know what's going to happen. It's going to come like thunder and lightning. Do you think it's going to go away? No, because we're like magnets.
Yeah. It's whatever. It's like the lenses that you see.
The boomerang's going to come back.
Yeah, and it's the lenses that you put on. The lad who I work with, he said today, we were on about Leeds playing, and he says, they're boring to watch the lad who's got a season ticket, and he came back to it and he went, you know what, he said, they were really boring last night, and Daz went, it's mad that, innit? And I went, yeah, because you give him the lens, but I went, so you've got to be very careful. That's a power that you know that you've got now.
Absolutely.
You've made the unconscious conscious.
Absolutely.
So now you know the power, throughout your day, the people that you meet, you have a chance to make them look at the world in a different set of view.
Yeah.
Or you can like greet them and go, oh, have you seen this bad, this, and like, no.
I don't want to talk about all that negative. That's why I don't watch the news. I mean, people say, they talk about what's going on and this and that. And don't get me wrong, I know there's politics going on, and I know that, there's things that's going on in the world. I'm not averse to not being aware of it. Yeah. I am aware of it. But I don't channel that energy into my heart.
No.
I don't want to feel that.
No.
Because it's negative. And it breeds more negativity and fear. And I think most people in life are living in fear because you put the news on, and what do you hear? You don't hear no joy.
No. Well, it's that one story at the end after they've crushed you. It's like 10 bad stories, and then they go, and this one. I'm like, they're not even listening to that last story. It's terrible.
There's someone who's making the decision about what goes on that news that about millions of people are going to listen to. Now you've got to question, why are they feeding that? Why is it that they can't feed any positives to lift people's spirits up? And I think there's a reason why it's done.
Yeah, because they also say, like, with radio and stuff, it's free. It's free for a reason. It's not free because you're paying with a price.
You're paying with a price.
And it's fear.
Absolutely.
And that's they know how to control people. And
it's a control.
But once you've flicked that switch and
you've tapped into it and you can see it,
that's not where I'm focusing.
Don't mean
like
anything.
You saying,
not focusing. Don't mean up to me. You know what I mean? It's going over here because I know where the joy is.
Yeah.
And that's what, for me, like when you put a plant in the earth and you want that seed to grow, that's what I'm trying to germinate.
Yeah. No,
joy and love. And if I don't feel that around me, then you won't see me around that.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather just be on my own, doing my own thing and be around my family.
Yeah. You've got to protect it, and your energy is to be protected.
Absolutely.
And there's not everyone wants to be saved either.
No.
And
No.
It is what it is with that, isn't it?
It is. It is. You know what I mean?
So what you were saying earlier, I know we're going to track back a bit. Yeah. You know when you said that you been called that comment in the shop.
Yeah.
And how have you dealt with that yourself? I know because you were saying with the music, because you told me recently you said that it's took you right back to that point.
Yeah.
How have you overcome? Just because if anyone's listening, just the toolkit that you used.
Well, what I did, or what I worked through, was first of all I started to believe in myself. That was the first thing, and I started to accept that genuine people who did care about me were being honest about what gift God had given me.
Yeah.
To play my instrument, and that's what's helped me to come through that.
Quality.
Do you know what I mean? Without that, I couldn't have done it on my own. You know, I've been blessed to have some amazing people around me, both family and friends, that saw something in me and said, no, man, you've got a light there, man, shine it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing that, for me, has really helped me to grow and accept, actually, you don't need to take on that crap that went on when you were 16 years old. Let it go.
Yeah.
You're better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And show it love. I think, and that's where people get a bit mistaken, is if we hold on to that that anger, it's only us who's holding it.
That's right.
And it's only us
You're
who's
never
going to
resolve it.
And you like
never
you were
move
saying
forwards.
with that compassion, you like he might.
Yeah.
He's been taught by his father.
Absolutely.
And it's like
absolutely, he's got the issue.
He's just regurgitated.
Yeah, and I'm not angry with him or anything like that.
No.
You know what I mean? And if I was to see him today, I wouldn't show him no anger.
No,
because breeding anger doesn't help.
An eye for an eye leaves the world blind.
That's right. So for me, that's how I've dealt with it. You know what I mean? And I know everybody who's going through situations in their life where they've been trodden on, or they feel like people are looking at them as being less than who they are. They've got to try and look within themselves and go, where's that coming from? That's what someone's verbally said to them. The issue is actually not them. The issue is the person who said it.
Yeah.
And once you start accepting that, that's when you realise that you got power.
Yeah.
A lot more power than you ever thought you had. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I love myself. And once you can reach to that point and feel that, that's the most amazing feeling that you could ever have.
That's where you feel comfortable within
Yep.
yourself, because you're not bothered. You're not going to take anyone else's criticism on board your. Well,
No.
a ship can't sink if it's not got the water on board.
That's right.
Like,
That's
you're
right.
not allowing it to come on, are you?
I'm not allowing it to come on.
No.
So how is it going to go into my subconscious space? It's not going to live anywhere.
No.
It's just going to vaporise like smoke does.
That's it. So what, with musicians and most artists, why do you think they're more tapped in to the spiritual realm?
I feel that there is a connection between music and the spiritual realm, because everything that exists on this planet is vibration. We all vibrate, everything. So when it goes down to the molecules and they look within you, everything is vibration. Yeah. So people who play an instrument can instantly feel that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what draws that connection to the spirituality, because they realise that the whole thing is actually all on the one plane.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by the cymatics.
Oh.
When you watch the cymatics, I'm like, I can't get that anyone else in absolutely like
it's amazing,
blow their head off.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Kids should be shown that.
Innit?
From the very young age.
Absolutely.
Going in and going,
yeah,
this is what music does. And
yeah.
They're like, and you're 70% water. So,
innit?
And it'd be like,
you know what I mean?
Light bulb more.
Absolutely. And that's why when you know, when you ask the question about why does a lot of music, they can relate to it because there's an entanglement between the vibration and the emotion. So when you're playing that instrument, and especially when you're on your own and you are going through stuff, there's a feeling that you get sometimes that connects, and when it does connect, it's like a discharge. I mean, I've found myself playing sometime when I've had to put the guitar down because I'm crying tears.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm telling you.
I can imagine.
It's happened a few times. And I've had to put the guitar down, I have to get it and wipe my eyes, you know what I mean? The whole thing just pours out. And you know what? I feel so much better when it's happened.
Just feel lighter.
So much lighter.
I've had it with music.
You know what I mean?
There's a few tracks that I could go on to now if I were having a bit of a downtime. And there's ones that have bobbed up that I didn't even know.
No.
And I was like, and it took me back to like when I was like 5, 6. And I'm
exactly.
like, where the hell did that
That's
come
a journey.
from? And I didn't realise that were a thing.
It's a massive thing.
And
it's a massive thing. But yeah, I think that's why a lot of musicians really can relate to being connected to the spiritual realm through music.
Yeah,
I totally get that.
So, what is your views on the church? And are you still like Jesus Christ and all?
I mean,
where's that lie with you? If you don't mind me asking.
No, I don't mind you asking at all. I don't mind you asking at all, because I still feel that there is a tug of war between what I consider churches that have their own rules and, you know, way in which they actually portray the church. And I also feel that it's almost like if you don't go through that door, then you're doomed. That's an issue that I've got, because I don't believe that God would want to put people in that situation where if you don't go down that path and go to that school, then you ain't going to get anywhere. You're doomed. You're going to go to hell.
Sounds
I don't believe that.
What I think.
Yeah, well. I really don't believe that.
So I believe you're given a temple. This is your temple.
Absolutely.
And when people, I've spoken to Christians before, and I'm Christian, but I've been brought up Christian. Not that I were heavily involved.
Yeah.
But when I've spoken to Christians and I've said, "Why did you try this breathwork?" and they're like, "Oh no," I'm like, "Well, God wouldn't create you to be able to do that. Like, And that's why I like spirituality. Is I can go and learn about Hinduism.
Absolutely, like myself.
I went to the meditation centre in Leeds and sat into one of his meditations on Friday, and I'm hoping to go tomorrow. Brilliant. And I'm like, this is what I love about it. Like, and as he were talking, and he were on about Buddha's consciousness. Yeah. And you could see people like couldn't fathom what he was saying. I totally get what he was saying.
You could relate to it.
Yeah, it was dropping in. Yeah. And I'm like, this is where it doesn't matter who's your teacher. Yeah. And it is about learning from every aspect.
Absolutely. And I think the other side of it is you got to remember that there was a time when I did live that life where I had fear that if I did anything that was not proclaiming onto what the biblical teachings are from the Bible, then I was actually doing something that was evil and wrong, and that there would be consequences. Yeah. And when you're a young kid, a teenager growing up, and you start to question things about what you see your friends doing, that could actually fry your brain. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's putting fear in you as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, and that whole thing about me hiding the guitar, that was why I did it. Yeah. Because I feared the consequences of what would happen if my parents was aware of me playing music. It wasn't necessarily about sneaking out of the house and going to the gig. No. It was the feeling of the music that I was playing that wasn't proclaiming onto the religious stance of what my upbringing was. Yeah. That's what I feared. And it's almost like a psychological feeling of, you're doomed now. This is it. It's over.
That's a double binding itself, because like your soul already knew that you had to go do that. That's where it lit you up, and that's where the fulfillment were coming from. So that against what the teachings of the church is going against that.
Absolutely.
You were bringing joy, and that's what the church is also about promoting in brackets. Yeah. So it's you can't teach both.
No, you can't. And I think one of the things that I've learned in life, you have to be honest to yourself. You have to live a life that's honest to you. You can't live a life to prove to someone else, to say they're pointing and going, yeah, he's living a good life, he's all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's you. Yeah, you've got to make decisions that you can sleep with at night.
That's my whole point.
And I know that I've done some things that I'm not proud of. Yeah. But like going through this whole journey, and I've had friends like, you're not whiter than white, and I'm like, I'm not saying I have been, but
I'm not. But I've made loads of mistakes.
I've had to go.
Still
through,
do.
I've had to go through all them to know that was the wrong thing to do, and that's where I'm in this second part of my life where I'm trying to put things right and also drop down the tools of being able to be relatable to people that are maybe going on the same journey as what I have. Yeah, and I've people like yourself sharing their journey, and it's a matter of knowing that. Going on the opposite side of saying, oh, you sin, you're going to hell kind of thing. It's like, no, you can make it back up. It's never too late to keep on, like, to turn tide. Are you happy with the person that you see in the mirror on the night?
Absolutely.
Or the first thing on the morning?
Absolutely.
And if you're not...
100%.
Yeah, and if you're not, where are you making these choices that are making you not being able to feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'm happy with myself because what I've accepted is that I will never be perfect. I grew up thinking that there's a perfection because that's what I was fed as a kid. There's a perfection. There isn't. We as human beings, as species, have been created to go through the fact that we're going to go through crap, we're going to fall, we're going to graze our knees, we're going to mess up. Yeah. But the lesson is when you get up and you realise that, and you can look back and go, I've learnt from that. To me, that's what our journey is about. Yeah. And that's what I've grown to realise. It took me a lot of years to find it.
Oh, but
I'm finding it now.
You've got to make the mistakes.
Of course you do.
You've got to, like, I seen a meme was what other day, and they went, you've got to have a few bumps, haven't you? You've got to keep on falling over to know where you're going.
You do.
And it's like even moon and even perfect. Is it?
Exactly.
Well, with all indentations in.
I know exactly what you're saying. Imperfect. But that to me is a fundamental, and I think that is what's important to feed to your kids, to the young people, to let them realise that they shouldn't fear living life. Life is supposed to be joy, not fear.
Yeah.
And I think, sadly, my generation, because we kind of went through this, having to just scrape through it, have kind of not had this thing where we can feed the kids and work and support them to realise that there's a joy in life that you can have. It's not all doom and gloom.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And I think for me, I'm wanting to pass that on to my family now, to my kids and to my grandkids, that they're blessed. No one's going to bring them down. Even if they go through a situation where it's going to be hard, they're going to pick themselves up again and they're going to keep walking.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it? Carrying the flag.
Yeah.
There's a phrase as well. Mm-hmm. The eyes and ears are the window to the soul, and the music don't need an invitation. Mm-hmm. So that's like...
I like that.
That is so powerful.
I like that.
And I
can relate to that.
How do you think the power of the music can be brought in to change the direction in which we're going?
I think the power of music can be brought in where people feel that they've got the freedom to express themselves, not in a genre style that is being boxed.
Like X Factor?
I think it's more about people being able to just express themselves the way they want to do, like when they just vocalise something. But music should be able to be the same thing, but you're doing it in music. So if a band decides that they're going to do a punk rock track and then they're going to do a jazz track on the same album, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
They're expressing themselves. That to me is where my heart is.
Yeah.
Because I love all music. I love music. Irrelevant of you boxing it and putting in. I don't like this whole genre thing.
Yeah.
And boxing it. Never liked it. Don't feel it's relevant. And I think that the young kids, like I was saying, the young 14, 15-year-olds, they're the ones that's going to bust that. They're going to break that.
They're going
to break it. Because you're going to go and see a band and you're going to think, oh, well, they're not a rock band, they're not a jazz band, they're not a trap band. What are they? Yeah, that's what I want you to question. What are they? Because that's what it should be. They're them.
Yeah.
They're them being honest, being open, expressing themselves.
That's cool.
Instead of boxing it.
Where's, when you've toured around the world, have you ever tried bringing some kind of music back that you've heard for the first time? Or
yeah, I mean, when I went to and I never really kind of homed in on the music. You know what they call them? I always forget the name. His sister plays drums and he plays guitar. What they're called from America? I can only describe it. Dang, 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 dang. What's the name of the group?
White Stripes.
The White Stripes.
Yeah, what's he called?
White Stripes. I saw them in Amsterdam.
Oh, cool.
That was 1998, so early doors. They weren't known in England yet.
Oh, but.
And I did a gig with Jimmy Tenner then, because Jimmy Tenner is an artist from Finland, and I was touring with him. We'd finished our gig. Yeah. Upstairs in this club called the Paradisa, and then there was some music downstairs. So I was with the trumpet player, and we says, "Oh, let's just nip down and see I can hear that music. Let's see what's going on." When we walked downstairs, all this crowd of people, and I'm there looking and says, "Let's go up front and see who's playing." We went up and it was just them two, and I just went, "I love this. This is different, man."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's when I started getting into more the prog rock, you know, the kind of like Muse, groups like that, you know what I mean?
Muse at Leeds Festival.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, yeah, amazing.
The lighting show.
Amazing. You have seen them live as well, Muse, seen them live.
Yeah, they closed it off, I think, on Saturday night, and
it
was the lighting show, just insane.
Amazing, innit?
Yeah. There's not a feeling like it, going to a band, but I've started to get more into the intimate gigs. I love going to like
okay.
Brudenell and.
Oh yeah, the Brudenell's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. And then there's Old Woolen at Farsley as well. That's good. I think that holds.
Yeah. I like them intimate, them kind of one-off gigs where the venue's not really that big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost like underground.
Yeah.
Love all that.
You can feel energy in there.
Of course you can. Of course you can. Because it's real. It's not about, oh yeah, they've sold X amount of records and the massive and the tour all over the world. It's like, it's about the music now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you feel like through your awakening as well, you've maybe gone off bands that you used to and you've kind of switched stuff up a bit more? I feel like I have.
I suppose, in some ways. Certain bands that I may have listened to back in the day that I thought were trendy.
Yeah.
And really didn't have really that soul there.
Yeah.
But it was a tide of the time. I kind of went a little bit on the wave.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm listening to it and going, "This ain't the real thing, man."
Yeah,
it's not the real. Do you know what I mean?
Kasabian, and I still like them, but they're not together anymore.
Yeah, but you're not feeling like how
the
you
lyrics.
Felt it.
Like there's one of Whiskey Measures, and it's like, I'm a man, simple pleasures. All I get by is drinking whiskey measures.
Right.
And the more it goes on, I'm like, it's
you're
like
thinking, what's
monkey. It's like just monkey mind. I'm like.
You know
simple mind.
Exactly.
Simple Steve.
Exactly. I mean, for example, there's, what do you call it? A guy who I've worked with from Chicago and done a few gigs with him, called Pevin Everett.
All right.
And he's worked mainly on a lot of the circuit where there's a lot of the soulful house music's getting played.
Oh, brilliant.
But he does sometimes go out with a band, and I've played in his band. Great artist, phenomenal artist. The message he sends in his songs, his vibe, his feel. And to me, when we do gigs, he's not like the big name.
Yeah.
Kind of like in lights.
Makes you feel big.
But the people that come to gig, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
They know what's going on because he's from here. You know what I mean? And I love working with people like that.
That feels like that's what's coming about now, though.
I think it's
people
coming more
getting
like
drawn
that.
By the heart.
By the feeling.
It's not by...
Someone's telling you this thing that you've read in a magazine or whatever.
He's got 2 million followers or whatever. I'm like, I'm not bothered.
No, I'm not bothered about that.
If I want to talk to someone, I'll talk to them because they're on a level that I want to speak
it's real.
to. Yeah, real. Basically,
it's real. You know what I mean?
It's not magic.
No,
it's not like Houdini.
No, not interested. Not interested at all. You know what I mean?
So I know it changes week for week for me. What's your favourite song of all time this week? And why?
That's a good question. What's my favourite song of this week? I don't know if there's anything that I've really honed in on this week that I could say is my favourite song. No,
that you just say that would be this, like I'd say, mine's favourite of all time, but I'd say it changes week to week.
Yeah. I'm gonna say yeah, because there's so many songs that I love. I suppose I go through phases, but there's one song that I've always kind of put on when I'm at home, like when I want to kind of feel cheered up and that, and it's Chic, and it's a song called Good Times.
Yeah. Cool.
I just love the fact that it's just got, you want to smile when you hear it.
Yeah.
And that feeling is the kind of feeling that I've always wanted to project when I'm playing music or around music or, playing with other musicians.
Yeah.
That feeling of joy. It's almost like you forget about your troubles.
Yeah.
Because for that moment in time, you just feel happy.
Yeah, there's no time or space.
That's right.
The guy who I followed who got me on my journey is Zach from Embodied Celestial, and he were talking about all sorts, and he were talking about Dr. Sebi, and even the pineapples, like a GMO'd fruit, it's terrible for your insects.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, it's tasty.
But it's not good for you.
And it's like, but he was like, the body can't get ill in an alkaline state, and he were on about when New York Times were going to sue him because he was saying he could cure cancer.
Yeah.
Because it's a word under the government.
Well,
they own the patents.
It's because it's a very thriving financial business. for the pharmacies. That's why.
Well, they said the other day...
Has been for donkey's
If
years.
you wanted to know what we're wrong with the world and what's the most
That's why they haven't got rid
profitable
of it.
things, which is health and war, he says it wouldn't be too hard to know what's going on.
It's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're telling me with all the technology they've got, making quantum chips and all that they can't sort out cancer? Of course they can. They've been able to sort out cancer for donkey's years, but it's deliberate.
I think all sound healing's working as well now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd done 21 patients, didn't he? Because they were going to sue him.
Did he?
He got 21 patients against New York City
I didn't know that.
Times, and they said, give me 21 patients that were ill from all ailments.
Yeah.
Brought them all in, and he went, right, coconut water, 21 for the day fast, just on that. Every single one of them walked back through the door 21 days later. Absolutely gone.
Wow.
So it's the power of fasting and all.
Wow. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Exactly.
I didn't do it.
Exactly. They did it, yeah. Because we've got it within us.
I just showed them knowledge.
Yeah. It's winning us. You know what I mean? We've all got it inside.
It's fantastic.
You know what I mean?
Even the fasting, once you start to realise.
Yeah.
I've
done fasting.
Yeah. I do it one day a week, and I do it I do it today because I'm doing a podcast. I feel like it channels more.
Right. Okay.
More for me, and then sometimes you'll hear that voice that's just do an extended one.
Yeah. Brilliant.
The mental clarity that comes with it is phenomenal. It's hard to even put into words, or the energy that you start to, once you go past that ketosis, is when your brain's going, no, you're going to die. Getting dizzy. Once you break through that, it's an energy source that you've never been.
Yeah. It's a funny one, isn't it, in life when, especially when you go through experience like what I went through. I nearly lost my sister a few years ago. She had bowel cancer.
Oh wow!
And that absolutely knocked me out, man. Because we were really close as a family, both me, my sister, and my brother. Because our parents are not here no more. They've passed on the other side. But my sister, man, when I went through that, that's when I realised, oh my God, I can't lose my sister, man. Our life is so, we think it's infinite, don't we? But then there's something that'll just come and just throw it all out of the window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a scary one.
It's a scary one.
Yeah, I've not had to.
It is a scary one.
Not close family. Not close enough where I don't know, and that's something I'll have to cross through when it comes to it. But you realise, you don't know how you're gonna deal with it, because I've always been quite. Even when my grandma and granddad passed, yes, I was close to them, but they were of age, so it was
so you kind of accept it psychologically, don't you?
They got to nice.
You know they're gonna have to go. You know what I mean? They're elderly, they're frail.
I don't know what I do with a younger one, and I don't. Touch wood, never have to go through that, because I think that's when it's a side swipe, isn't it?
I've been through that.
Have you?
Yeah, I lost a daughter at 5.5 months old.
Wow, sorry to
Natasha, and that crippled me. Took me 3 years to get through that. And I think that's all part of who I am now.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it is.
I know.
It is. I mean, it's not like I don't feel like I can't talk about it, because I had to go through a lot of counselling.
I bet.
Yeah, over a years of counselling to work through that, because I just couldn't comprehend something like that happening to me.
No.
And then I realised, actually, this has happened to a lot of people. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And they have to find a way to deal with it.
Did you find it easier talking to other people?
Yes, I did. I did. Yeah. And especially the counselling.
Yeah.
Just being able to open up and be honest about, and think of the joy that I had, because she had such a smiley face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I used to look at her in the cot, she just had the biggest smile in the world, just beamed. I says, I think sometimes I just think the Creator just thought she had her little time to give us that joy.
Yeah.
And I just look at the thing that makes me feel good in myself now dealing with it is just remembering the smile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You think it changed you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dealing with that, coming to terms with that. You know what I mean?
I just watched that Ashley Kane. He went through the same, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Maybe from an outlook, he wasn't maybe the nicest person
No.
in a lot of it, maybe a lot of ego driven, but you look how it humbled him, and then
Brought
you look
him
at how
to reality.
how much he's alchemising the pain into.
That's right.
Like, he's bringing so much joy to other people, but for doing charities, and then you're like, well, that, if everything's divine, is that what the creator would do? And he's like, you're going down this path here, we need to send you an angel. I know he calls it his a little angel, and it's...
Yeah, it's almost like you question, why do certain things happen in your life the way it does? You know, are you being cursed? And a lot of people live their life blaming themselves, you know, thinking maybe I've done something wrong in the past, so this is my payment for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that comes in your mind when you go through something like this.
Yeah, and I guess it's normal. I think a lot of us can play victim, can't we? And it's his own doing, and and maybe some of it is.
Maybe.
Who's not to know?
Maybe.
It's like the wheel of karma. I very much think it's got a big part to play in it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's why for me now, you know, my family is just everything to me. Everything. I just feel that, you know, the music, I love my music. I love the fact that at least I can play and express myself and express the joy that I have in my heart. But to be able to come back home and just be around my family, that to me is just magical.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I love. You know what I mean? Love that.
It's if anyone could experience what it is to have a wholesome family, that's the
It's
one.
a joy. That's a wealth. That is, to me, wealth people put with material things, and that's what I've learned. That my wealth is my family.
It's how you sleep at night. I was reading the other day or a video, and they were on about even sleeping next to your partner. When you're happy, and you're both comfortable, you'll fall asleep quicker. It's all peace of mind.
It's all peace of mind.
Peace of mind is wealth.
It is.
It's you have to live with yourself more than anyone else.
Absolutely.
And if you can sleep at night going, I have it pretty good here.
You know what I mean? Absolutely.
That's what we're trying to radiate.
Oh, God, yeah. And I think this is, you know, like what I said, this is what you're doing. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think it's fantastic. I think more people need to tune in on this. And more importantly, people just need to be honest about the journey and don't be fearful of it. There's so many fear.
That's what I'm doing, is you're just doing yourself a disjustice.
You're doing yourself a disjustice.
And
you know what I mean?
Anyone who's actually liking you ain't liking you.
No, they're not. No, they're not. And I've learned that. And it stems from when I was saying about my experience with the shop thing.
Yeah.
And the whole racism thing, and trying to kind of get my head around it all, and you know, and in life there's amazing people out there from all backgrounds, amazing people that have love in their heart, but I think what society does is they cocoon everything and put it in marginal things and say, oh no, that needs to be pigeonholed into that.
Segregate everyone.
Yeah. And I really struggle with that.
Just as we touched on it at start of week, they've banned TikTok in America.
Oh, yeah.
I
know, I saw it.
James Pike is another musician down London.
Yeah.
He were like commentating on it, which were hilarious, is because they banned it for 12 hours. And there were a new app that opened up, and it was called Red Note.
No.
So what it was, so the Chinese... they don't actually use TikTok, they use Red Note, that's their kind, but the Americans could get it, so it went to the number one selling.
Did it?
Yeah, it went to number one. So the Americans they want a break within it where they could talk to each other straight away.
Right.
So they were like, oh, you're all right, you guys, you're all right.
I get it.
You're like, oh, it says government selling propaganda, and within 12 hours, after 12 hours, TikTok will re-emerge that it could go back on app. And now it's being used. How weird is that? It's because they're starting to realise what they're being fed over a TV screen is division. And
of course it is. People are not stupid.
We always get like, you'll hear it on news, is China this, Russia that. If you look at any of the films that you've watched over the last 20 years, it's always Russian spies and Chinese. It's programming.
I know, of course it is.
Until people can dissolve
see that and realise that.
Wow.
You're just going to get drawn into the trap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they said they work backwards. they'll look 20 years down the line and go, right, people can...
It's all about conditioning. And what they try and do is they try and condition the next generation coming up so that basically they then become brainless in the sense that they become numb to life and have to just walk down this road like everybody else, not realising that they can actually break away from that whole thing, just like that. And
I think the way you're also talking about it is we're more emanating through the heart, and the more that we're not reactive and showing love to people that have done us wrong, and we even, if they did it to us today, not reacting to it, people are going to take note of how you operate.
Are you?
And when they're doing that, you're showing them there's another way.
There is another way.
And that once you break them patterns, this is how the new world does come in, and it's through the heart. I think George Orwell said it brilliantly.
Absolutely.
About love's uncontrolled.
Absolutely.
They feel love because love's uncontrollable.
Yeah, it's like water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ripple effect, when you throw a pebble in the water, do you think the pebble just stands there and then no happens? No, it ripples. That ripple that's going on, you know how far that spreads? That's what love is all about. It spreads wide and far, and people feel it. Even if they don't want to accept that they feel it, they know it's there.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that's coming up for you?
Well, I think at the moment, as I say, I've got 2 or 3 different projects that I'm working on at the moment that I really want to kind of nail over the next few months. With some great, I've got 2 great singers that I'm working with at the moment, writing songs and stuff, and I can't wait to get the material out there. I'm really excited about it. And I'm working on some other projects of my own as well. But I'm kind of like at the moment just in the zone, so I don't even want to think, it's going to be like this, because I don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
I'm just on a journey at the minute, and I'm actually in some ways trusting the universe to guide me through that journey, rather than me preempting, I want to do it like this and I've got this date set for that and I want to do it like that and I want it to look like that.
It sucks the fun out of it when it's so structured.
I just want it to navigate itself organically.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what I've got to say.
No, I love that. And thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure, and thanks for inviting me. I've enjoyed it, man. It's cool. Wicked.